once again, fans of flip clocks. In this episode, we're going to be exploring flip clocks in unusual places. Okay, this photo's a little misleading. This is not about those pictures on auction sites with flip clocks perched in strange places, sometimes with embarrassing things in the background. And it's not about those clocks with unusual configurations of the clock, although these are quite cool examples. Flip clocks in space. Now that would be very unusual since a flip clock wouldn't work in zero gravity. Flip clocks are often described as being space age. Now that's a perfect title. The origin of the flip clock and the surge in popularity of these clocks closely matches the early days of the U.S. space program, the late 60s through the 70s. Apollo 11, the space flight that landed the first humans on the moon. If you lived through the decade of the 70s as a child, you'll surely remember how cool astronauts were. They were true American heroes. Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Edwin Aldrin Jr., the Apollo 11 crew who made it to the moon. Many youngsters dreamed of being an astronaut. What could be as cool as an astronaut? How about an astronaut's helmet? Or maybe a space helmet TV with a flip clock. These televisions were made by JVC and were technically called the Videosphere, but they're commonly referred to as the space helmet TV, and they're very, very rare, and the ones with flip clocks even more so. Now, maybe not as cool as your dad's TV, but hey, look a little bit closer, and you'll see this TV comes with a flip clock. Very rare. While very popular in the 70s, I think we can agree smoking's not that cool. But what's more American than tobacco-related signage and clocks with tobacco stuff on it? These clocks are very collectible. Signed clocks, and here's a signed digital clock, but what's extremely rare is the tobacco sign with a flip clock. And here's a really good example of one. If you look closer, we can see the flip clock is basically just the same as you might find in your flip clock. It's a high-quality flip clock. There's your fluorescent tube. You can see that hangs up on the wall there. And here's another fine example of a cigarette-related clock sign with a flip clock. And it looks like exactly the same type of mechanism. It's got a little dot there after the hour. A really nice example here. Very rare, both of these. And it has to have the warning on there. It's dangerous to your health, although some of us have not yet learned that, apparently. Oh, really? Anyway, beer signage. Now, there's a lot more beer signage that you'll find on the auction sites than the tobacco signs and stuff. And these things are quite expensive, some of them. And cool, here's a Budweiser and a digital clock, the old style, and it's Miller time. And how classic the Clydesdales on a signed clock. But what's very rare is the beer sign with the flip clock. But we just happen to have one here at Flip Clock Fans. We're going to do a full-on review, so hold on. Okay, now we're going to put American beer here to show you the size of this. Hold on a second. All right, then. So there we go. That's about the size of it. I better get this out of here. Okay, in case the wife shows up. But anyway, here we've got a Tuborg, and I'm probably not saying that right. It's some kind of Danish beer that you supposedly can't get in America right now for some reason. And here's the light. Yowza. Okay, it really lights up well. And the back of it's metal. You can see a big old honking switch there. It looks like it's on fire back here. And we get a little closer look here. This is a cash register sign with a digital clock. It's very rare and interesting. I just had to get it so I could get a look at what it's all about. The front part's plastic here. And here's our flip clock. It works just like a regular flip clock. Keeps good time. Now, to take this down, it's pretty straightforward. We got these knurl screws or knurl whatever, little ridges on them. And we just unscrew them. And we'll get down to the business here and see what we got inside. Alright, pretty simple. Just pull it right off, and you don't see that every day. It looks like some kind of science project. And the clock works just like you'd expect. Now, I've looked at this mechanism, and it resembles, there's a holder there that would hold a light, but it hasn't even been bent. And I've looked at this closely, and it actually matches the Panasonic RC7021. Now, that's the clock that I showed you at the very beginning, that first picture. working fine, in great shape. Yeah, that's really lit up. Thank goodness for LEDs. That would have caused a lot of heat. And this case is entirely or the front is entirely plastic here. It looks like a little heat shield up at the top there, I'm guessing. Tuborg beer. Yeah, hey, what's more classic than a 70s old Lincoln? Well, there's a clock in there. Now, that's not technically a flip clock, but a lot of people have talked to me about seeing a flip clock in a car. It's a Cartier digital clock. It's technically a rolling drum or a cyclometer type clock, but close enough for our purposes of flip clocks in unusual places. They don't really look that cool to me. But let's go on to something even more awesome. Flip clock art. If you take a look at this sign is huge. And it's by an artist named Darren Almond. Here's an unnamed artist. He just kind of threw this together. It looks pretty cool. Now this guy is on Etsy, and I really think this is awesome. The blue tubes are evidently black hole generators, and this comes from Mars, the technology, according to the vendor. You got to go and read that. It's just awesome. Now this is another seller on Etsy. Give me a RAUM. It's necklaces and pendants made out of flip clocks. I'm going to have to get the wife one. Okay, this is from China. I don't know what they're thinking. But anyway, I've had fun looking through this. It's time to take off. If you get a chance, come visit us at flipclockfans.com.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.